There are three big games this weekend. One of them we expected from the beginning of the year, but two of them are surprise big games. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. I do college football videos every single day. So, whether you agree with me, want to talk trash with me, or trash talk to me, you're going to like this channel. We have three big games this Saturday involving top 25 teams playing each other. Now, one of those games, Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State, we expected that to be a big game at the beginning of the season. But the other two games, Indiana at Ohio State and Wisconsin at Northwestern, I didn't see those being big games at the start of the season, but they are, and it's time to break them down. The first big game that I wanted to break down was number 14, Oklahoma State at number 18, Oklahoma, aka Bedlam. Now, Oklahoma State comes into this game 5-1. Oklahoma 5-2. Everybody expected that Oklahoma State was going to have an amazing offense this year, and we'll see about their defense. Well, it's been completely the opposite. Their offense has actually been a letdown, and their defense has been one of the best in the nation. This will be a battle of the Spencers. For Oklahoma State, quarterback Spencer Sanders, and then for Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler. Let's talk about Spencer Sanders first. Not all that great. 63 for 93, 67.7%, so completion rating, not that bad. 766 yards, 5 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. Yikes. They do have some good wins, though. Home against Tulsa, home against West Virginia, at Kansas, home against Iowa State, and at Kansas State. And their only loss was home against Texas. Chuba Hubbard, he was expected to be a Heisman contender. Nope. 125 carries for 581 yards, averaging just 4.6 yards a carry with 5 touchdowns. But they also have L.D. Brown. He's actually having a little bit better of a year than Chuba. Not as many carries, though. 60 carries for 372 yards, 6.2 yards a carry, and he gouged West Virginia. Defense is where the money is at for Oklahoma State. They only allow 311 offensive yards a game, including 169 passing a game and 142 rushing a game. And they only allow their opponents to convert third down 23.3% of the time. That is good defense. Now let's talk about Oklahoma. They got off to a rocky start. They lost to Kansas State and then at Iowa State. But since then, they've looked great. All their wins include, of course, the home win against Missouri State. Then they got on a roll after the 2 losses. Home against Texas, at TCU, at Texas Tech, and then home against Kansas. Spencer Rattler is starting to look really, really good. The future is bright in Norman. This year, 141 for 208. That's 67.8%. He's thrown for 2,018 yards, 18 touchdowns, but 6 interceptions. But most of those interceptions have come at the beginning of the year. He's looking better and better. Their running back, TJ Pledger, 81 carries for 393 yards. That's 4.9 yards a carry and 5 touchdowns. So they do need to get a little bit better with the running game. Now they score 46.1 points per game. That's 5th in the nation. Compare that to Oklahoma State. They only score 28 points per game. The defense is actually a little closer than you think. Oklahoma allows 24.4 points per game. That's 41st. That's actually not bad at all. And Oklahoma State allows 17.8 points per game. So the defense is actually close. So the spread right now is Oklahoma by 7. I would actually lay those points. Oklahoma State historically is bad against Oklahoma. I don't even know why they call it a rivalry. But I think Oklahoma will flat out embarrass Oklahoma State. I got Oklahoma by at least 2 touchdowns. The next big game, one of the unexpected ones. Number 10, Wisconsin at number 19, Northwestern. Both of these teams are undefeated. Wisconsin is 2-0 and Northwestern 4-0. Wisconsin is favored by 7.5. Now, Wisconsin has looked pretty good, but they've only played 2 games against scrub teams, Illinois and Michigan. Quarterback Graham Mertz. I don't know if Cone will be available for this game. I don't know if he's been lifted off quarantine or not. But for right now, we'll stick with Mertz. 32 for 43, 74.4%, 375 yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. Pretty good, actually. Running back, Nakia Watson, 31 carries for 127 yards, 4.1 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Not a great running game. They do have a good defense, though. They allowed 218 offensive yards a game. Wow. That includes 129.5 passing yards a game and just 89 rushing yards a game. And they only allow their opponents to convert third down 23.8% of the time. They average 449 offensive yards a game. That's a pretty good offense for Wisconsin. They're not known for that. They score 47 points per game. That's third in the nation, and only allow 9 points per game. That's number 1 in the nation. Now let's go over to Northwestern. They are 4-0 with wins against Maryland, at Iowa, Nebraska, at Purdue. Some decent wins in there. They score 28 points per game. That's 67th, so they're not known for scoring points. But their defense is actually pretty good, allowing 14 points per game. That's 11th. And that's over 4 games. Wisconsin's stats only 2 games. Quarterback Peyton Ramsey, 73 for 111. That's 65.8%. 723 yards, 6 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions. He's got to clean that up if Northwestern wants to beat Wisconsin. Running back Drake Anderson, 43 carries for 198 yards, 4.6 yards a carry with 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, like I said, their offense, not spectacular. Now, their defense, they allow 301 offensive yards a game. Good. That includes 210 passing yards a game, 91.8 rushing yards a game. They themselves produce 354 offensive yards per game. So Northwestern likes to control the game. They don't score a ton of points. They do put a lot of yards up and control the game. So, Wisconsin, a 7.5 point favorite. I'm going to take those points. Not sure if I'm going to take Northwestern in the upset, but I definitely think it's possible. Northwestern should have Wisconsin on upset alert. This is a big game for Big Ten West supremacy. This will probably determine who will play Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship. The last game, also an unexpected big game. These are 2 top 10 teams against each other. Number 9, Indiana against number 3, Ohio State. Indiana 4-0, Ohio State 3-0. And Ohio State is a 20.5 point favorite. That is super rare for a team to be that big of a favorite in a top 10 matchup. Now, Indiana's wins. That first win against Penn State, overtime, a big win that sent Penn State on a spiral. At Rutgers versus Michigan and blanked Michigan State. They themselves put up 369 offensive yards per game. Their quarterback, Michael Penix, 91 for 150, 60.7%. That's 1,070 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Running back Stevie Scott, 88 carries for 319 yards, 3.6 yards a carry with 5 touchdowns. Now their defense, not bad. They allow 320 offensive yards a game. That includes 209 passing yards a game and 111 rushing yards a game. So they're a little susceptible on the passing side, which is bad going against Ohio State. They score 38.8 points per game, which is 33rd. That's actually not bad at all. They allow 19.2 points per game, which is 17th in the nation. That's a good defense. Here's what they'll be going up against. Number 3, Ohio State. Their wins: home against Nebraska, at Penn State, home against Rutgers. So Ohio State really doesn't have any great wins, and they weren't super dominant in any of them. Maybe the Nebraska game. So this could be a closer game than people think. Ohio State, they produce 511 offensive yards a game. That's crazy. They score 46.3 points per game. That's 4th. And allow 23 points per game. That's 34th. Heisman contender Justin Fields, 72 for 83, 86.7%. That is incredible. 908 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. Running back Master Teague, 47 carries for 211 yards, 4.5 yards a carry, 4 touchdowns. Their defense, they allow 355 offensive yards a game, including 223 passing yards a game and 131 rushing yards a game. This is a noon kickoff, so it'll be an earlier game. The key to this game is Indiana putting pressure on Justin Fields, getting him to make mistakes. And I do think Indiana can do that. I'm not picking the upset, but I will take those 20.5 points. I think Indiana can keep this game close, but I don't think they have a good enough quarterback to flat out upset Ohio State, especially at Ohio State. So I'm definitely not calling for the upset, but I do think Ohio State wins comfortably, but not by more than 20 points. I think Ohio State will win by 14, 17 points. Indiana will keep this respectable. They will test Ohio State, but I expect Ohio State to win fairly comfortably, but not cover the spread. That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.